This is She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. Your host, Kinsey Roberts, interviews incredible women in the wedding industry who are making their mark and creating success on their terms. Join the conversation.
Hey there and happy Thursday. Welcome to episode 52 of She Creates Business, a podcast for wedding pros. This is your host, Kinsey Roberts, and today I am so pleased to welcome Lauren Pedersen to the show. Lauren writes the style and beauty blog Lauren Loves and runs an accessories and small goods business, Elisabeth Ashlie. She runs both of her businesses out of her Chicago apartment where she has lived for 4 years. When she's not busy behind her desk, you can find her planning her own wedding happening this July. I am so thrilled to have her on the show. She is my first style blogger, but the reason I wanted to bring her on specifically is because Elisabeth Ashlie is her first business that she started with her sister at her sister's kitchen table, and just kind of for fun. And we'll get into that story a little bit in the podcast. But Elisabeth Ashlie has expanded into a ton of jewelry, lifestyle products, and custom gift boxes, and a subscription jewelry box. And in her product line, she has she has jewelry specifically for brides and bridesmaids. Her custom gift boxes are for bridesmaids, for brides, and more. And I just think the Dearly box, her subscription jewelry service, would be the perfect gift for your bridesmaids or whatever. So that's why I brought her on the show, and I feel like it just ties in so well. And as you know, I love to bring on women who are just doing really unique and cool things. So I'm so excited to have Lauren on the show. I believe she told me I was her first ever podcast interview. So Lauren, if you are listening, thank you so much for coming on. It was truly a pleasure to speak with you and just hear your story and all of the great things you're doing out, in that tiny little apartment we talked about in Chicago. Actually, it's not tiny. You told me how spacious it is. So thanks, girl. I really appreciate you. You guys, before we get to the interview, I just want to tell you today, March 30th, is the last day to enroll in my course, Podcasting for Creatives. If you have been wanting to start a podcast, if you want to gain speaking skills, if you want to bring on other women who are in your industry or outside of your industry, if you want another way to serve your audience with free, awesome content, podcasting could be for you. Podcasting for Creatives is for women entrepreneurs who want to create, publish, and grow their own show. If you're interested or know someone who might be, head over to bit.ly/let's podcast and get more information there and sign up for the course. Once again, that link is bit.ly/let's podcast. I would love to go on that journey with you and help you grow your own podcast. Without further ado, let's go to the show with Lauren Pedersen. Lauren Pedersen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you. Everyone, I was just telling Lauren offline kind of about the podcast process and just how excited I was to talk to her. And I'm sure you are excited to hear from her. I've been following her blog for what feels like many years, at least 2 or 3 years. So I'm so pleased to have you on the show and just to chat with you about all of the amazing things you are doing in the world. So thank you. Lauren, tell me.
I'm excited.
Oh, okay, good. Lauren, so as I mentioned, I did your professional bio there at the top of the show. So everyone heard that, but I would just love for you, briefly in your own words, to tell us who you are and kind of how you serve the wedding industry.
Okay, so I run a online jewelry and small goods shop called Elisabeth Ashlie. And as you mentioned, I also have a blog, which is Lauren Elisabeth. There's a lot of names going on, so it's kind of confusing. It's funny when I get emails because I have been called Elisabeth, Ashlie, Lauren, and other names that I don't even use for business names. So it's super confusing. I know it's annoying, and I wish I would have thought about it more before starting it all, but here we are. So I also have a style blog, which has been really fun for me to run. And with Elisabeth Ashlie, although it's like everyday jewelry and you can shop at any time, I also work a lot with brides. I love doing bridal orders for bridesmaids and making something special for the bride on her big day. And we have some new, really fun custom gift boxes for brides and bridesmaids. So I try to kind of do it all and remain sane.
Yes, and we'll get into that and how you are remaining sane and everything that you do. So tell me, quick question, take What came first? Remind me. Was it the blog, Lauren Elizabeth, or was it Elisabeth Ashlie, the jewelry?
It was Elisabeth Ashlie. They came I think 6 months, within 6 months of each other. But Elisabeth Ashlie started first, and then the blog came shortly after.
Okay, well, that's right. So take me back then to the beginning of Elisabeth Ashlie. How did you start that business, and why did you start that business?
So it's funny because I get asked this question a lot, of course, and we have the most unconventional, boring business story ever. My sister and I started in the summer of 2010. I was living with her for about a month in North Carolina.
Okay.
And we were shopping, as we used to do all the time before she had kids. And we were at Target. We were in the fancy jewelry section. They have the jewelry cases.
Yes.
She saw a necklace that she really liked. And it was pretty simple, nothing that couldn't be made yourself similarly. And it was $50. It was around $50. She really liked it, but didn't want to pay for it, and turned to me and told me that she could make something similar for herself. To which, of course, I said, no, you cannot. You do not make jewelry. What are you talking about? You've never made jewelry in your life. So I doubted her big time, and we went to a craft store that night and bought basic supplies and spent probably 3 weeks staying up till about 3 a.m. making jewelry at her dining table. And I think we put a couple of things on Facebook, on our personal Facebook pages. And I think one of her friends was the first person to buy something. And then my mom's friends were interested, and she had an Etsy shop before. She made greeting cards.
Okay.
Handmade greeting cards, which is so funny. And she had an Etsy shop, and so she was like, why don't we put them on Etsy and see what happens? I was like, sure, why not? And then the rest, as they say, was history.
Oh my gosh. So that's hysterical. I'm imagining the two of you just making jewelry till 3 a.m. What should we do with all this?
Yes. Yeah, we had so much. We ate, probably 10 pounds worth of Sour Punch straws at that table. And
I'm sorry, wait a minute. Did you just say Sour Punch straws?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're soul sisters. What's your favorite flavor?
Oh, yeah. I think it's the strawberry.
Oh, boy. Okay. We'll have a whole separate conversation about that.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay, keep going.
Good. We kept that company in business. So, yeah, we just sat at that table and had so much fun. That was some of the best memories that I have with her, because we just stayed up so late and just made jewelry and had so much jewelry, and started selling it on Etsy.
Oh, I freaking love that. That's so much fun. It's so fun I love when stories start this way. Honestly, sometimes I don't want to hear, not that I don't want to hear, but sometimes I'm just like, oh, you had an idea that you pursued, diligently. Kind of that's my business story. I did it on purpose. But I love it when it's just yeah, we were up eating a Sour Punch straws, and now, boom.
Here we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so tell me then, how really has the business has completely evolved since your early days on Etsy, staying up, eating candy. So tell me, how has Elisabeth Ashlie evolved? And, when did you really begin adding those lifestyle products and kind of taking it? Not that you didn't take it seriously. I don't mean it that way, but you know what I'm saying?
No,
when did you really start saying, this is a business?
Totally. So I was with her that summer in 2010, and in January of 2011, I decided to transfer to North Carolina State University to finish college, which meant that I moved to Raleigh in January of 2011. And that made it so much easier for us to do the business together, because we were shipping from the same place, and we could get together, and we did some craft shows and things like that. So it just really kind of grew organically in the beginning on Etsy. Etsy is such a good platform for people starting out. I can't say enough good things about it. And it really helped us just kind of grow the business. And it was a hobby for sure that first year. It was still so exciting when we get an email you sold one necklace on Etsy. So we did that for, I was in Raleigh for close to 3 years. So we were doing it together. And my sister was working as a hairstylist, and I was in school. So it was just kind of a weeknight thing that we would do. And then in 2000, sorry, I have to keep my years straight. In 2013, I decided to move back to Chicago. I had finished school and was pursuing a full-time job because I didn't have one at the time. And I thought I had better chances in the city. And I was also dating my now fiance, who was back here. So I wanted to be closer to him. So Kate and I sat down and kind of talked about, like, how do we do this business? It's going to be hard to do it from two different cities, and logistically, how is this all going to work? She was pregnant with her first at the time. And so we both decided that I would take over the business. And when I say we both decided, I mean that she forced me to fire her.
Why did she have to force you to fire her? Were you like, no, don't leave me?
Kind of. And she just refused to quit. Like, she felt bad and didn't want to quit because she loved doing it, but knew that it was just too much for her. And so now, of course, she tells everyone that I fired her and didn't give her anything. I'm like, we remember this differently because you forced me to fire you. I asked you to quit. So I fired her.
So she didn't get a severance or anything? Is that what you're saying?
No, nothing. And she's mad about it because she's seen what it's turned into. And she's like, I should have gotten some stock in that business. So I moved to Chicago and was doing Elisabeth Ashlie myself, and was interning at a company that I was maybe interested in getting a job at, and quickly realized that I loved running Elisabeth Ashlie and wanted to do whatever I could to turn it into a full-time thing. So I took those first couple of months and really went all in and just really focused on the business. It was at that time that I launched the website. So we had both Etsy and our own website. And with that website, I was able to see that this could turn into a full-time thing. And then here we are almost 4 years later, and it's my full-time job.
And it is. Okay, so when you say that in 2013, when you say that you started to really take it seriously and wanted to see it as your full-time job, what were the steps that you took to do that? Aside from having your Etsy shop and your e-commerce site, what did that mean to you? Like, I'm doing XYZ to grow this business and to to dedicate myself to it 100%. What did that look like on the back end, like logistically speaking?
Right. A lot of it was just time. Okay. Putting the time into it, because before I was interning 3 days a week and just kind of trying to figure out living in the city. And I loved doing Elisabeth Ashlie, but it would be a couple hours here and there, and I'd fulfill orders as they came in, but didn't do a ton in my downtime. It was kind of like I would work when I had work to do, and then otherwise I would just wait for things to sell. And so when I made the decision to see if I could turn this thing into a full-time job, it was setting hours and getting up every day and sitting down at my desk and working either on social media or developing new products or branding or reaching out to people. It was less about waiting for the business to come in and more about trying to create business.
Oh, I love that. That's your tweetable. Less about waiting for business to come in and more about creating business. Love that. So how did you create that business then? Or more, let me ask, and you don't have to give me details, of course, but Let me ask, if you don't mind sharing, how did you grow your revenue so that it could be a full-time gig?
I was lucky enough in the sense that I had my following from my blog, which I had at that point for about 2.5 years. My sister was like big time with her blog. She writes the Small Things blog. I'm sure you've seen the back of her head on Pinterest for her hair tutorials. So I was lucky in that sense that we had an audience with all of those blog followers that I could push from my blog or from Kate's blog or from Instagram to the business. And I could wear the jewelry and tag it on Instagram, and people would ask where it's from, and I could say that it was from Elisabeth Ashlie. So that was that helped a ton. And I recognize that. And that is not the story for everyone, because I just kind of had a built-in audience right there that would come and buy my jewelry. And I just had I've had a lot of loyal customers over the year, which is wonderful. And that's so it's affirming for me to see that I'm selling things that people like and they're enjoying it and they want to come back and buy more. And so a lot of it was that too. And they would tell their friends about it, or, you know, they'd be wearing it and their coworker would ask where it's from. And then those people would come to the website too.
You know, and I totally get that. And I think I really admire that you recognize that you and your sister both had those large blog audiences, but you do need to give yourself more credit than that, because you both worked very diligently and very hard and very consistently to build those followers. And so, yes, it made starting an additional business easier, quote. It's not easy, but easier, but you did put all of that effort to show up with your lifestyle blogs, show up consistently with content and things of that nature. And so I feel like that's just a testament to when we create content that people are interested in, it can lead to things down the road, and it will be easier over time to build those additional projects or businesses that we're interested in. So don't discount all the work you did on that.
Very true. Very true. That's a good point.
So let me ask you then, when you first started the business, and I remember following Elisabeth Ashlie on Etsy, when you first started, I don't think that it was like specifically geared, or you didn't have anything specifically geared towards brides or wedding parties. Did that kind of happen organically, or did you think, hey, this would be great, especially since a lot of it was custom, this would be great for bridal parties? Tell me how that kind of came about.
Yeah, it happened pretty organically. Okay. I would say that we had a good variety of different styles of jewelry. We offered a lot of everyday wear and then some fancier pieces. And I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure it started where someone saw, you know, a pair of earrings in the shop and really liked them and emailed us and said, like, hey, I love these earrings. I'm getting married. My colors are pink and blue. Can you do something for us? And that was the first time that we were like, oh, that makes sense. Like, bridal party, that's easy to do. So we didn't really market a ton to like the wedding industry or brides to be. It was more people who had shopped with us before or stumbled upon our shop on Etsy and saw something, and they would reach out and ask. And then we started sharing it on Instagram, or it would get pinned to Pinterest, and people would see that they could do custom styles for their bridal party, and then it just kind of grew from there.
And so now that you have specifically, you know, it grew organically, but now that you've specifically seen that this is a market for part of your line, and you mentioned earlier, and we'll get into more of the details in here in a minute, but you mentioned earlier now you also have custom gift boxes. How do you go about kind of attracting that audience for those specific pieces of Elisabeth Ashlie?
Yeah, a lot of it is social media. I can't say enough about the power of social media. Right. It's really amazing. And we just recently discovered, I have an assistant, and so she does a lot of my social media for me. And just in this past year, we discovered the power of Pinterest and pinning all of our items. It's only like 5 years late. But I've gotten so much more traffic to my site from Pinterest. And so that is a perfect example. We'd pin, you know, if we had an Instagram shot of a custom bridal set or a bridesmaid set of jewelry, we'd pin it to Pinterest and say, like, custom bridesmaid earrings. People would click over to the site and send us an email and asking how they could do it. I also, let's see, I'm trying to think. I'm not as strategic as I maybe come off.
I think that's great. It's actually something to be really proud of.
Yeah, a lot of it is, it's so much just about social media. And then I think people just coming to the site, they see the wedding section. We have a collection on our site for wedding things. So either bridal jewelry or bridesmaid jewelry. And I think they tell their friends, or if they know a bride who's getting married that needs jewelry, they tell her about it, and she comes to us and emails us about it.
Ooh, I love. Okay, so between the Lauren Elisabeth blog and Pinterest and like Instagram, what would you say drives the most traffic to your site, to Elisabeth Ashlie?
At this moment, I think it's Pinterest.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So before that, that's a good question. Before that, it would maybe be Instagram. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of direct traffic too. Almost 7 years later, so many people that buy from us are repeat customers, like I said before. So they will just kind of just come right to the website because they know what it is. But right now it's Pinterest, which is awesome and super easy.
That's so awesome. And I kind of laughed to myself when you said, like, we recently discovered the power of
Oh
Pinterest.
my gosh,
And then I think of your sister, who I certainly have seen the back of her head on Pinterest. And I'm like, I'm sure she was over there like, get on Pinterest.
Yeah, hello, duh. I know.
We just have to try things for ourselves, right? Don't tell us what to do. Just let us figure it out. Yeah, sibling life. I wonder, when you, hold on real quickly here. I just want to pull this up. Now that you have lifestyle products, so not even just you have the jewelry, you of course have the wedding line, you've added those custom gift boxes, and you also have the other, like, the cutest mugs ever and notepads. So also the Dearly box, which is a subscription service. So I wonder, and I know you just said, like, I'm not as buttoned up as I must seem to be, but I feel like these are all fairly strategic. So can you kind of talk to me about how you introduced the Dearly box, and then how you came to introduce lifestyle products like mugs and office products into your custom gift boxes? I feel like it's just it does seem so organic and wonderful, but tell me how you started to introduce those things.
Okay. So the Dearly box started in October 2015. So 2015? Yeah. And I had been thinking for a few months, and I had been talking to my assistant and my sister just about, subscription boxes are huge.
Sure.
People love them. And I feel like every time I get, honestly, on Pinterest, there's a new subscription box pinned. I'm like, what is that? I have to know what it is.
Yes.
People love it. It's so fun to just have a package. I love getting packages. So it's so fun to have a package delivered every month or every quarter of just fun things. So I was kind of like, let's just give it a try, see what happens. There's no real overhead because I already have everything. And so I'll just pick or make new jewelry items and put them in a box and ship them to people that order them. So our first month was October 2015, and we saw a lot of people that were really interested, and that was really exciting for me. It's always so affirming to see that an idea that you have is accepted by people and people get excited about it. And then in November, I think November was the second month, my sister had shared about it on her blog, and we had I think it was close to 400 boxes that month, which was insane because we were not prepared at all.
I'm wondering what that looks like logistically in your apartment.
It is wild. I'm thankful to have a decent sized office, but it was not nearly big enough for 400 boxes. And that was probably 1,200 pieces of jewelry. So it was a little wild there for a couple months. But that was just I saw that people liked subscription boxes, and I knew that people liked my jewelry, and we picked a price point that we thought was fair and just kind of wanted to try it and see what happened. And it turned out to be a success, and we're still doing it today. We have some regular monthly subscribers, and we still have people that come in, every few months that are ready for a new selection of jewelry. And that's just a really fun thing. It's the same, but it's a little bit different. It was a new challenge, and I like having new challenges like that. So it was kind of an organic idea to be like, well, we do jewelry. We know that people like our stuff. Let's try a subscription box because that's the big thing. So that was really fun. And then in terms of the other products that we added, I think one of the first non-jewelry things that we added were our paper products. So our notepads. And we have notepads, a weekly planner, a market list. And that, in all honesty, was more for myself because I love notepads. Yes. I have 700 of them. And I thought, well, I love notepads. I am a traditional pen and paper kind of girl. If I have a to-do list, I want to write it down on pen and paper. So I thought that's an easy thing that I can offer, and who doesn't love a cute notepad? And if people are coming to the site buying some jewelry for a girlfriend for her birthday, then maybe they'll add a notepad to the box and they can just do an all-in-one gift. So notepads were first, and then The mugs came, which was another one that was just a no-brainer. I'm realizing that I tend to offer products that I would buy and that I want to have, which makes sense because I am buying them and hopefully selling them too. So mugs were next. And then then we did candles, which the candles have been so fun. I think that has been the most fun thing for me.
Are you making those or are you wholesaling
I am.
those? You're making them. I freaking love that.
It's so fun. It is that, I think that's been the most fun for me, and to see that people are buying them, especially since people can't smell them before they buy them.
Right.
So to see that people, I think, trust me enough to know that I would sell a candle that smells good and that's going to burn well, and we have people coming back and buying more. So that's been awesome. And I also just make myself candles now instead of buying them at the store.
It's
so that's great.
Brilliant. What do you call your candles?
They're all different flavors. We have 6 flavors, but they're just hand poured soy candles.
Oh my gosh. How fun is that? How did that, this is kind of a sidebar, but like, was that just something you were interested in? Like, because you're very creative, that's obvious. So were you kind of just interested in that? And you're like, hey, maybe I'll add these to the shop, or tell me how that worked.
I think I'm trying to remember how it started. I think I wanted to try making them it was either for myself or I wanted to make them for Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
So I started last fall. I think it was Christmas gifts. That was my first idea. And I thought, who doesn't love a homemade Christmas gift, especially if it'll last, a couple months.
That's right.
So I just kind of looked up a couple of tutorials, how to do it, ordered some supplies, and started making some for myself and for Christmas gifts to kind of test out, get the different scents and all that stuff. And then I thought, well, let's just see what it does on the website. If people buy them, great. If they don't, then I just have more candles for myself and to give as gifts. And so we started selling them in, I think it was January, maybe February. No, I think it was January, and people have been buying them. So it's been really fun too.
Lauren, I really admire your willingness to just try stuff. I think sometimes, of all of the interviews that I've done and just talking to women at other creative conferences, I think there's a lot of, there can be some fear or some questions around adding new products or new services or trying new things. And you just seem very like, I'm going to give it a shot. And if it works, awesome. And I feel like that's very casual, but it's also so admirable because you don't take it it appears that you don't just take it so seriously that you're paralyzed by that fear. And I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun for me. And like I said before, I like a new challenge. And what has helped me along the way is having my blog and my Instagram and having the following that I have. I think people who know me from my blog kind of know my style. And so I'm able to sort of leverage that for the business too, because I'm selling and making things that are in my style and things that I would use and things that I would buy. And so I think people who know me from the blog trust that and kind of have they just know me. And so they know that what I'm selling is something that I would also use. And so they can trust it and buy it too.
I love that. I wonder what has been, over this journey, 7+ years, what has been the most surprising thing about Elisabeth Ashlie, about the blog, about all, about making it a full-time business? What's really been the most surprising part of your journey?
That's such a good question. The easiest answer is I never in a million years would have guessed that this would be my life. Mm-hmm. Never. It was never on my horizon. I never considered owning my own business, never ever considered making jewelry or turning it into what it is. So the fact that I get to work from home and make my own schedule and run my own business and do something that I truly, truly love every single day is so incredible and such a blessing to me. And I realize that almost once a week because I love Mondays and I love going back to work on Mondays, which I know most people are probably horrified at the idea of. But when I sit down at my desk, I'm like, man, this is so cool. I'm so thankful and grateful for the opportunity to do something that I love every single day. And so for it to go from just this little hobby that my sister and I stayed up till 3 a.m. doing to a full-time job, now has been so fun. The other thing that's been really cool, and this is more probably on the blog side, is just getting to know people through the internet and getting emails and comments from people who have followed along. And people can be mean on the internet, but people can also be so, so kind, and they're truly interested. And when my fiance and I recently got engaged, I got a lot of emails and comments like, I'm so happy. I've been waiting so long for this to happen. So happy for you guys. And to be able to share that joy with not only our friends and family, but also people who have followed along on our journey the last 4 or so years was really, really cool and special.
That is special. And there are so many kind people out there. And it's kind of just a reminder of how small the world really is and how we're all going through similar things and similar milestones in life. And I think it's fun to share those with people around the world.
Totally. I love that.
That's so lovely. Tell me, but as we get into the end of this, I would just, if you could give one piece of advice to someone listening who is, we're all kind of wedding industry pros and or we work in the industry. If you could give one piece of advice to somebody who, going back to just your willingness to try, one piece of advice to someone who's looking to, maybe start a new service in their floral business or their planning business or what have you, or maybe they want to add an e-commerce element to something they're already offering, what's kind of that one piece of advice you would give?
It might sound cliche, but don't compare your journey to other people's. Yes. It's so easy, especially with Instagram and social media, to see these beautifully styled photos and assume that everyone else has it together and they're successful and know exactly what they're doing and they're not a mess behind the scenes. But I think if we saw a real picture into especially small business owners and women that work for themselves, it would not be as pretty as it is on social media. And that's where it's beautiful, because you see the real life stuff and you see what you can turn it into. But just not comparing it to other people and not assuming that you're going to have the same story. And that's where the fun and the joy of having your own business and trying something new comes in, because you get to have your own experience and you can learn from other people and be inspired by other people, but just being willing to kind of go your own path and have your own journey, I think, is where you get the joy out of it.
Yes, I love that. What is that saying? Like, don't compare your chapter, whatever. It's like always a different chapter, I think. Like, don't compare your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 62.
Exactly. Exactly.
That is so good, Lauren. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious to know, these are kind of like my favorite questions because I'm a kind of like geek out on these things. What kind of tools, they can be tech or whatever. I know you're a paper girl, hands up for stationery lovers. But what are you using to manage your businesses and all of your creative projects?
So my first thing, I just pen and paper. I buy Post-its in bulk at Costco. I always have a pile of about 20 Post-its on my desk, and I always have Post-its at the bottom of my desktop with all the things I need to do or remember or anything. Mostly because I just get so much joy out of ripping it off my desktop and throwing it away, because that means I've done something I had to do. A lot of the apps and stuff that I use, I have my e-commerce site is on Shopify. And so there are a lot of apps through Shopify that I use just to kind of keep track of things. And then on the more technical side, I use QuickBooks to keep track of accounting, which has been super helpful. And that's kind of it. I put things in my calendar on my phone to set reminders, but I really haven't discovered or really tried to discover any cool like phone apps, just because I love so much writing down things so that I can either cross them off or throw the piece of paper away once I've done it.
Yes, no, it doesn't have to be complicated, like simple and significant. I love it.
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, before we get into kind of what's on the horizon for you this year, I would love for you to tell everyone where they can find you online.
Okay. So Elisabeth Ashlie is the website. You can type in elisabethashlie.com. It is Elisabeth with an S and Ashlie with an IE at the end, which is kind of confusing, I know, but that was what was available on Etsy many, many years ago. And so that's what it is. We're also on Instagram as Elisabeth Ashlie. And then my blog is thelaurenelisabeth.com. And my blog Instagram, or my more personal Instagram, is at @the_Lauren Elisabeth.
Lovely. So perfect. And everybody, as you know, I will put all of this in the show notes. So go ahead and just tap your podcast player and click the link so you can be taken over there. You will not be disappointed. Lauren is so much fun to follow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Tell us what's on the horizon. What can you share? What are you excited about this year?
So I'm excited about a lot of things. I have a lot of ideas brewing in my mind. So I don't want to give too much away, but as you mentioned early on in the show, we recently launched our custom gift boxes, which has been so much fun for me. So we've gotten a ton of feedback and a lot of people asking for specific boxes for things. So I will say that we are going to have a Mother's Day gift box. So that should be launching hopefully in the next couple of weeks to give you plenty of time to get a Mother's Day gift, either for your mom or your friend who's recently had a baby or whoever you want to give it to. And let's see, I don't know. There probably will be some new kind of product because I seem to add a lot of new things. I'm really enjoying all the lifestyle products that we're doing. So I don't know for sure what the next one will be, but I can almost guarantee you that there will be something new probably coming soon. But the more custom gift boxes for sure.
That's so exciting. And of course, as we all can definitely appreciate, you're getting married this year.
Yes.
Well, so much fun. Lauren, thank you so much for being here and for just sharing with us and encouraging us. I cannot tell you how much I've enjoyed our conversation.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to She Creates Business. Please take a minute and head to iTunes to leave an honest review so we can help more wedding pros find the show.